Unit 3, Land-based empires. So, land-based empires were also sometimes called gunpowder empires, which were empires that used gunpowder as weapons and armory. One of the more important ones is called the Ottoman empires, which can be known as one of the greatest gunpowder empires ever. The empire started with a bang when the Sultan marched through Constantinople, the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire. Constantinople was at the time ruled by the Byzantine Empire, who was big but then shrunk to only the Constantinople. As Muhammad, the Sultan of the Ottomans, he wanted Constantinople or to be the capital of the Ottoman Empire. So they charged in with cannons, which was one of the first gunpowder innovations made, as cannons could be used to destroy buildings and towers and were very nicely used. As Ottomans, they were known for mastering the gunpowder technology, which made their armies very dominant. They were only thought to be a land-based empires, but they did control lots of sea area and were a pretty strong navy and got lots of trade from Europe. But the Ottomans didn't have a perfect aristocracy, which means that wealthy families or nobles, they didn't really have that much power and they could not challenge the Sultan. The Ottomans wanted everybody to be Islam. So the Ottomans forced Christian families to sell their children to be near the Sultan's side to convert them to Muslims. And those people, they were very loyal to the Sultan and they became Janissaries as they got some pieces of land, but when they died, the Sultans got the land back, not their children. The Ottomans became very connected to European trade routes. They were able to access lots of Indian Ocean trade routes, which dominated their economy. As the Ottomans, they were known as a Sunni Islam, which was an Islamic part that which thought differently about Muhammad, as they opposed the Shia Muslim, which we'll talk about later. The Ottomans were extremely diverse, as Jews from Europe fled to the Ottomans for the Sultan's protection so that they wouldn't get persecuted in Europe, as also many Christians and many populated people were there. The Ottomans, they also controlled many parts of like North Africa, as once after ruling the Constantinople, they used their really good musketeer and military technique, gunpowder technique, to rule other parts of the area. But the Ottomans got overthrown one day, because as soon as population increases, more people as soon as they conquer more places, the population increase, and there goes more Janissaries. And the Janissaries demanded more money, and they had guns, so they couldn't really do anything. And soon they overthrew the Ottoman Empire, and they are now present day Turkey. The Safavid Empire, which was birthed from Persia, which actually made which came from, and Persia was the home to many former empires, as empires near the place were very diverse, as in religion, of course, because it was in the middle of lots of mountains, lots of rivers. There are lots of people there. But the Safavid, but the empire was made up of Shia Islamic people, as they thought differently about how Muhammad was born, or different thoughts about Muhammad. Its rivals being the Sunni Empire, The Safavid Empire was built using troops with gunpowder weapons, similarly to the Ottoman Empire, mostly musketeers. The Safavids were focused on personal growth and were concerned with the concerned with their legal issues or local issues. They attracted many nomadic people uh, to them, as they adopted Shia Muslim, which came into huge competition with the Ottomans, as they thought differently, and it resulted in some violence. But they didn't have any war, but their conflict lasted for a very long time, that it kind of built up lots of tension. A lot of people died because of that. Also, the yeah, China. Now let's talk about China. China was not known to be a sea-based empire, as at first they were very commercialized in the sea, as they brought many merchants onto the sea. But as soon as they saw how expensive that was, they just removed all of it, and just since they removed all of it as it was too expensive to have such a powerful navy. China was the wealthiest place in the world, as it carried lots of materials such as silk, such as gunpowder, which were used in many other places. But it was controlled by the Mongols, which soon after the Black Death, they became a little bit weaker. And from the Protestants, uh, from the Protestants, there was a man named Zhu Yanzun, a peasant, who drove the Mongols out of China and established the Ming Dynasty. The Ming Dynasty prioritized agriculture and improvement, as the emperor himself knew how dangerous it would be to have very hungry peasants in the street. They were very prone to invasions since they were such a huge empire, but they were able to feed it off. The dynasty promoted long distance maritime trade, as they created over 3,500 ships, but that didn't last long, as they were losing money due to them giving money to Koreans who to the Koreas who were fighting off Japan attacks, as they were losing money off of that. As they were losing money, as they were in a pretty bad position. If not worse, a famine struck in China, as they kept losing money and agriculture and increased taxes on peasants. And the Qing dynasty, or the Manchu dynasty, who snuck in at the time, and took over the Ming dynasty quickly. The Qing dynasty, like the Mongols, came from outside of China. The first thing he did was decrease the size of his army so it was much more cheaper, and he froze taxes so that it didn't go up or down in price. As the Qin dynasty, they only lasted for a century, as they were ruled out by peasants and many other people. Now let's talk about India. A ruler named Babur, who struggled very early in his life in ruling. He invaded northern India. They invaded it by strong horses and very skilled Kannada, who fought Indians who rode elephants and fought. And the Babur established an empire called the Mughal Empire. But he wasn't really the main person who expanded it. His grandson, Akbar, expanded the empire from present-day Afghanistan to Bengal and East India. Their economy benefited from silver, which came from South America minemen. As the Mongols, they built alliances within Hindu Rajputs. Akbar was very tolerated over religion. He was fine with Hindus being religion, as he was very tolerated with it, and actually was felt very happy about all the diversity India had, as Akbar, he had control to many trade routes, as he was from the Indian Ocean. Now let's talk about Europe. So Europe at the time was controlled by the kings and queens in Europe. They were controlled by the Pope, who made decisions on what Europeans should, if what the kings should be, or what should the king or queens do. And they made Catholic churches, most notably the Roman Catholic Church. A man named Martin Luther, a German priest, came to visit the Roman Catholic Church. He was stressed at the fact that it was a poor place, and he created a book called 95 Theses, which stated all the reasons why the Catholic Church was bad and that it needed to go or get removed, as it created a Protestant Reformation. And as they sought to spread this information, innovation called the printing press, first used to print Bibles and other religious texts, printed out many copies of the 95 Theses, and it created the Protestant Reformation, which made and at the end, kings and queens had much more power than they did before, as the Pope didn't really control many aspects of the religion of the place. Now finished.